All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Empowering Lives with Pink Ribbon Good. My name is Kelly Blount, and I will be today's moderator. We have an informative agenda planned for you today, as October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we are honored to highlight Pink Ribbon Good as they work to ensure no one travels this road alone. With that, let's go ahead and get started. I am thrilled to introduce Chastity Metz with Pink Ribbon Good to introduce herself and share a bit of her story with us today.
Thank you for taking time to be here today. We are grateful for 3 strong years of partnership with General Electric Credit Union. It is a joy for PRG to continue to spread our mission in the tri-state community. Because we want to make sure no individual battling breast or gynecological cancer travels this road alone. My name is Chastity, and this is my story of survivorship. August 28, my house was full of twin girls. They were in their Harry Potter stage, making potions in the kitchen. My son was due in from school any minute, and the doctor had finally called me back. The girls were giggling. I was on the steps watching for my son to walk up to the house. Mrs. Metz, I guess you figured it out. You have breast cancer. What did he just say? I have cancer? At that moment, Michael walks in and asks for me to give him a spelling quiz. His test is tomorrow. Sure, buddy, just give me a few minutes. The girls are laughing, and I have cancer. Did this doctor just say that? I went up the stairs to my bedroom, shut the door. I wasn't far enough. I can still hear them giggling. Now Michael's friends are here also. Into the bathroom, still not far enough. Then my closet. My house is now filled with Alyssa and Michael's friends, and I have cancer. These will be their last carefree moments. Our whole world is about to change. I have had many titles over the years: mother, friend, wife, employee, teacher, volunteer, but the hardest has been survivor. What does that even mean? From the moment they find that first indication of cancer, it is a non-stop merry-go-round of tests, doctors, scans. People you know and love are at your side. People you never met have become your #1 support. And the ones you thought were the closest to you are no longer at your side. You begin surviving to get through each moment, each day. In October 2018, I underwent a 12-hour surgery to have bilateral mastectomy with immediate deep flap reconstruction. My medical team immediately connected me to PRG, but I was one of those people that didn't feel like I needed it. People in my life were amazing. They brought us meals, sat with me, took my kids to activities. I was surrounded by family and friends. I was loved and never alone. It was hard to depend on others to cook for us, though. By December, I was very lonely and becoming depressed. I had been following PRG on Facebook. I had turned down services when they had reached out, but I saw they had a coffee talk cookie decorating party coming up. My husband really encouraged me to register. I was definitely not doing that though. I don't drink coffee. I finally waited to reach out until it was sold out and sent a message on Facebook, fully expecting them to say no. But then I could say I tried. Well, they didn't say no. They said yes pretty quickly. And now I had no excuse but to go. I love people. I love talking to new people and volunteering my time. I'm an open book who will share everything. These are all the things that truly bring me joy in life. But this time, they did not bring me joy in my life. They brought fear and uncertainty. I in no way wanted to be at this coffee talk. I had every excuse. Who will I sit with? I don't know anyone. I don't drink coffee. What if they want to talk to me? I pulled in and I gave every excuse to my very supportive, loving, non-confrontational husband, who told me for the first time in my life to get out of the car and to not come home until I went inside. That I wasn't happy and someone had to help me, and he wasn't the one, to just try this. He was right. I walked in. I was a little upset with him. I walked in, and for the first time, there were people who didn't treat me differently, who spoke to me like a person. I had new friends, pink and teal sisters when I walked out. I loved every second of this event, And in the 6 years I've been doing this, we have never had coffee at one of these coffee talks. I continue to go to coffee talks each month. They brought me so much joy and filled my bucket. My family always says I'm happier when I come home. It's an environment where we can safely talk about anything without judgment. Sometimes you don't want to talk about things in front of your loved ones and friends. It's encouraging to hear someone else talk about the same side effects and know that I'm not crazy. It's nice to get ideas from each other, what has worked, what hasn't worked. In March of 2019, it was time for my second surgery. I took services from PRG and it was so nice. It gave me my independence back to care for my family. It allowed them to be able to heat up nutritious meals on our timeline. Michael and Alyssa would bring the meals inside, sort them, pick what we were having for dinner, and sometimes even make them in the microwave or the oven. They loved this. In May, I volunteered at my first event, and this was a game changer for me. It was another way to get in those special moments between coffee talks and build deeper relationships while giving back to an organization who gives me so much. Soon, I began mentoring other survivors. There is a special bond I share with each mentee I've had and cherish. Helping to guide others through difficult moments, being there to listen or hold a hand while sharing tears is unlike any other experience I have ever had. PRG not only supports me, but my family as well. PRG has given us experiences we may not have had otherwise. We have attended the Dayton Dragons game, walked on the field with the Reds, watched a polo match, attended concerts, volunteered together as a family many times, and the list just keeps going on and on. 3 years ago, I joined the PRG Cincinnati team. I truly never understood what it meant to be passionate about what you do until then. Every day, I get to wake up, plan events, raise money, and advocate for breast and gynecological cancer survivors for the organization that made my survivorship a little bit easier. Today, I receive treatment every 3 months. It lasts for about 3 hours. When our clients go through radiation, they may have up to 30 rounds 5 times a week of radiation. The transportation we offer at PRG is invaluable. Could you imagine taking off work every week, every day of every week? Asking your partner, your family to take that much time off of work? Thankfully, PRG offers transportation to lift this burden for our clients and me. Survivorship is hard. It is beautiful. PRG has helped me find my strength, my voice, my confidence again. I am so proud to be a part of this beautiful PRG family as a client, a volunteer, and an employee. Next. We would love for all of you to get involved with PRG. You can help by spreading our mission. You can like and follow us on our PRG social media pages. Volunteer your time. We have so many fun events. I send out monthly emails on how to be a part of the PRG community of advocates and volunteers. If you're interested, send me an email and I'll get you involved. Thank you for being here today and listening to my journey and the impact PRG has made in my life. It is because of companies like yours that PRG is able to serve families like mine and so many others. Now I would like to introduce you to Julie Miller, our Regional Director of Cincinnati.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is such a pleasure to be here and to spend time with you, especially during Breast Cancer Awareness Month that, a lot of people that are wearing the pink ribbons and wearing, pink t-shirts just because that they themselves might have been going through breast cancer, like Chastity might be going through gynecological cancers. And it is just a joy and a privilege to work for an organization that is making such an impact in the lives of people that are going through such a difficult time. As Chastity said, my name is Julie Miller. I am the regional director here at Pink Ribbon Good. And as Chastity mentioned about volunteering their time and supporting us, I just want to thank again everyone at General Electric Credit Union for believing in our mission, for supporting our mission, for being a sponsor every year at our Ignite the Fight, for having your General Electric Cares team has come out and volunteered almost daily for us at the Silver Spring House. And so we know, and we are just so honored of your commitment to our organization. And I just simply want to start off by saying thank you to all of you for that. And I just want to dive in a little bit into like, what is Pink Ribbon Good? What are you all supporting, and how do we kind of get to where we are today of making such a tremendous impact in the community? And so you might have seen the statistic of 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. If you kind of drill that down even more, that means every 90 seconds, a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer in the United States. And every 5 minutes, someone is diagnosed with gynecological cancer in the United States. And so what we know in our mission is that there are a lot of people that need our services, and there are a lot of people that need an extra help and a helping hand through a difficult time. And is, like I said, it is a privilege for Pink Ribbon Good to be there through that difficult time. Next. And so I wanted to give a little background. We are thrilled at Pink Ribbon Good that we really founded, and at the time we had a name change to Pink Ribbon Good, which I'll go into a little bit. But we are Pink Ribbon Girls. And so I just want to make sure anyone on the call that might be kind of new, I want to make sure you know that Pink Ribbon Girls and Pink Ribbon Good are the same organization. We just had a name change last year, and a huge reason of why we did the name change was, one, I think when you hear of Pink Ribbon Girls, you might immediately think of the client that we are serving, the person that is going through breast cancer or gynecological cancers. What we have realized, though, is that our services are just as impactful for the caregivers and the family, along with the greater health system and the greater community of the tri-state. And so we believe that we are doing a huge good for all of those people as well. And so I just wanted to state that, because I know that people are still saying, are you guys Pink Ribbon Girls? And we're like, we are. It is exactly the same mission. And we are thrilled that Pink Ribbon Girls was founded here in Cincinnati in 2002 with those coffee talks that Chastity was talking about. 3 young women from the West Side were diagnosed with breast cancer in their late 20s, early 30s. And they realized in 2002 that they were when they were talking to their doctors and saying, I just need to talk to somebody. I just need to feel that sense of community that Chastity spoke about earlier. And so they started Pink Ribbon Girls as a pure coffee talk of wanting to build organization and community with younger women that were going through some of the same struggles that they were going through. And so how that all works into what our mission is today, and that Heather Salazar has really just kind of blossomed and just been able to really expand our mission in a powerful way. And how she has done that if you look on the screen, also at the same time in 2002, Heather, who is in the middle picture, was in social work in Dayton. And she had heard of a woman going home from her double mastectomy on public transportation. And that person was Alexis, who is in the far left picture. And she, as just being a community member in Dayton and being just a caring individual, is like, that does not sit right with me, that this woman went through such a trying time, and the only way that she got home through that surgery was on public transportation. And so she told her husband, Steve, we need to meet Alexis. We need to do better as a community, and I'm going to start. I'm going to be the person that meets her and sees what she needs, and I'm just going to provide a little extra something. What does she need? And I'm going to help. And so they met in a Meijer parking lot, and what they said was, instantly when they walked out, there was an instant connection between Heather and Steve and Alexis. And what they found out was that they just needed Alexis. What she needed wasn't necessarily clearly help with the groceries or anything like that. She was really caring for her little baby girl, Lexi, and she was looking for a home, because Alexis was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer at the age of 23. And so through the last year of their life, of Alexis' life, Heather and Steve adopted Lexi and brought them all into their family, and was just that support system that she needed during that last stage of her life. And so as you see in the last picture, that was Lexi getting adopted, and they were there for her. They were there when no one else was for Alexis, and they were just the angels around them. And so cruel fate as it is that a year later, in 2003, Heather was young. She was 31, and she said, you know what? I'm just going to do a self breast exam because I know young people get breast cancer too because of Alexis's fight that they were just witness to. And so she did a self breast exam. She found a lump, and she found out that she herself was diagnosed with the same exact cancer that Alexis was. And so again, when I say now of the work that we've been doing, sometimes life is not fair. And so Heather had 4 young kids now. She was diagnosed. And the thing is that when she looks back on it and when she was going through it, and she had treatments, and she had a caring family, and she had a home environment that was clean and welcoming, and she just simply said, this is the difference. This was the difference of my treatment compared to Alexis, is because I had the support system around me. I had people that were delivering healthy meals. I had a meal train. I made sure my kids were taken care of. My husband and my parents, they went to all of the appointments with me. I had a clean environment, and I had a community around. And Alexis didn't have any of those things until the last year of her life. And so Heather then, when she gets through with her cancer diagnosis, she's like, I am going to make something of this. I am going to build upon and going to make life easier for people going through breast cancer. And so next, Kelly. What she realized, and she had been to some of the Pink Ribbon Girls community coffee talks, she's like, you know what? Let's build out the mission. Let's go from what helped me through my cancer diagnosis and what Alexis was missing through her cancer treatment is, let's make sure that no family is going hungry. Let's make sure that they have nutritious meals that are delivered to them. And so that is how we are doing our healthy meals to individuals. And where that looks like is every person in the household gets 3 healthy meals per week for everyone in the household. Again, as I said, Alexis went home from her double mastectomy on public transportation, and that's just not right. And so we want to make sure that everyone has a right to treatment, because that is the first step of making sure people can get into survivorship and go through their cancer journey. And so at the bare minimum, we provide 30 round trip treatments to anything kind of involving cancer care with those individuals. That being said, if we are the only sole ride for someone, we realize that they need to get to their radiation appointments, they need to get to their surgery, they need to get to their chemo appointments. We will extend the rides past 30 if we realize that we are their only sole transportation. House cleaning essentials. So what we said is, you know, it's one of those things of it's making people feel normal. So we provide a lightweight vacuum for people because they cannot, after surgery, really move anything heavy. And so it's a lightweight cleaning vacuum. If you reach out to anybody who has received our services, you will probably hear about the lightweight vacuum over any of the other things that we provide, just because it's providing a sense of normalcy that even though most of us don't like to vacuum, but if that is taken away from you and making your home feel clean and welcoming, you like the fact that you can get that back. And so we provide that along with Branch Basics, which are all natural cleaning products. And once you get a cancer diagnosis, you basically start thinking of what are the small things that I can do that I have some control over, because the lack of control was taken from you. And so most of the things people come to think of what is inside their house. And so changing some of the small things of going to toxic cleaning products to all natural cleaning products, that is something that Pink Ribbon Good is introducing them to. And then finally, our fourth and how we started our mission is our peer support and our education that is just really continue to blossom and continue to build such a strong community for everyone. Next. And how that looks is that we realize that the mission might seem simple, yet we know it is so impactful. Just last year, we were able to provide over 50,000 meals just here in the tri-state, over 3,000 rides to treatment just here in the tri-state, over 600 cleaning kits in our region, and that we were able to host virtual and in-person peer supports events here in the tri-state, which again continues to enable women and men to come together to talk about what they're going through. I also want to point out, because Chastity spoke to it a little bit too, is that we also have a mentoring program within our education and peer support. And so our director, Jan Middleton, who lives here locally as well, has done such a tremendous job of really partnering people up that have gone through maybe the same stage, the same type of cancer, they're kind of experience the same life situation, so they might have young kids or maybe they live alone. We really try to pair people up so that they feel that they can ask honest questions and get honest answers back. And so that is something too that you might know of somebody that is going through that maybe they don't need a group of people to have a sense of community. Maybe they don't need the basic needs that we are providing. At the same time, if they want that one-on-one interaction, make sure that they reach out to us, because we do know that we have such a really strong mentoring program as well. And then as you see at the bottom, we were able to serve 32% more people in 2023 compared to 2022. And again, I just want to state the only way that we're able to do that is because of the generosity of the community, like General Electric Credit Union. All of our services are free of charge. And because we just believe that those are basic needs that we need to provide to people through a trying time. And I would also say to be like, even if you think that you have the means of providing meals to your family, when someone is diagnosed, they don't even know what to expect or what they will be going through. And so what we always tell people is simply say yes. You say yes to an organization that is really just trying to provide extra support and make a positive impact through such a negative time in your journey. Next. And so what I said too is that since Pink Ribbon Girls, now Pink Ribbon Good, was founded here in Cincinnati, it is something that our region can be so proud of, that something of just an idea among 3 women on the west side, and then Heather bringing it all together in 2012, has now grown to Dayton, Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. We then moved out to St. Louis, Missouri, and then into San Francisco. And just last year, we opened up in Buffalo. Exciting that we have also started a pilot program in Lexington and Louisville, Kentucky, of just doing a small sample size. We're trying to find a meaningful health partner down there to really help grow in that region. But what we love is, again, and then also just highlighting the states that are highlighted in dark teal, that is showing that our peer support, so the regions that we are in are able to receive all of our 4 service pillars, but clearly our peer support is virtual. And so we encourage people, and Chastity and Jan and all of the people that kind of really help build our peer support are part of groups nationwide on Facebook and on LinkedIn, and so we share it. And so we're thrilled to say that 34 states have participated in our peer support program. And so again, when I look at that, that is just so tremendous to see that something that started off, like I said, is an idea and wanting to make an impact has truly done that. And in terms of our service numbers nationwide, just last year, we provided over 250,000 meals. We provided over 25,000 rides to treatment. Over 3,200 cleaning kits were delivered. And then we provided 132 events, either in person or as peer support. And so it's just something that we know that we're making a difference. And again, we're only able to do that because of the generosity of the community. And finally, let me just mention before I get into just some warning signs and something of breast and gynecological cancers, since it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I want to say if you know of anyone that could use our services, it is a really simple process. One, you can go online to pinkribbongood.org. You can request our service. It's 5 simple questions, and all we will do is follow up with you to then get something signed from your health system that you are going to, just to ensure that you are through active treatment. It is that easy. You talk to our client coordinators. The person that is signing up would just say what services that they would need, and usually you start receiving services within 2 weeks. And so again, if anyone on the call knows of anyone that could use our services, we just simply want to make sure that people know about it. And again, because when I go in the community and I hear from someone who might have been a gynecological cancer patient or breast and say, like, gosh, I could really have used it. That's why opportunities like this today are so important for us, because we know people are learning about our mission, and that when something is impacted within their life personally or within their friends or family group, we hope that you think about Pink Ribbon Good and help make sure that we can impact as many women and men as possible. Next. And so finally, I just want to go through, I mean, again, everyone can kind of read the slides themselves, but here too of just highlighting for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, also making sure we say, and what it will say in here is like, you know what, if anything of October brings is it makes sure that people remember that screening saves lives. And so if you yourself on this call have not gotten screened and you are over 40 or 40, make sure that you schedule your yearly screening mammogram. If not this month, if they're already booked, it's just a good reminder of making sure that that is built into kind of your yearly thought of the appointments that you need to go to. If you're not of age, if you don't have breast cancer risk right now in your family, make sure that you talk to your mom, your aunt, your grandma. Make sure that they're continuing to get those yearly screenings, because again, early detection saves lives. And so stating some of the things for breast cancer risk that you cannot control, but do kind of increase your risk of breast cancer is clearly being born a woman. Your age is an increased risk. So, you know, I think we all know on this call, people that are younger diagnosed. Chastity herself was younger when she was diagnosed, but nationwide, the median age is still 62 when a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer. Locally here for just Pink Ribbon Good, our median age for diagnosis within the clients that we're serving in Cincinnati is 55. Also, things that you can't control but you need to understand about your body is if you have dense breast tissue. Just to be super honest on the call, I had a first mammogram and didn't realize my breast density was extremely dense. And so because of that, I had a follow-up with an MRI, because it is just, if you have dense breast, it is harder to just see the cancer through a mammogram. So make sure to follow up with your physician or your team to be like seeing if the MRI is a possibility for you because of the dense breast tissue. If you are a carrier of BRCA1 or BRCA2 gene, if you started your period before the age of 12, you have a higher risk of breast cancer, just because your lifetime exposure to estrogen is linked to increased breast cancer risk. If you reach menopause after the age of 55, Clearly, if you have a personal history with breast cancer, if you have gone through breast cancer yourself, your risk of recurring is clearly more. If you have a family history of breast cancer, it's also too of one of those things when I hear people talking about this too, is sometimes people don't want to bring this up, but it is so important to know, you know, and as holidays are coming up, it's not something you want to talk about. At the same time, knowing your history on both sides of your family is very crucial to know. And where that comes into, because we just talked about screening, if you do have breast cancer in your family, you are able to get screened prior to the age of 40. But that is only if you show a history of breast cancer. And so again, it's just important to know on both sides of your family what type of cancer, and just make sure that you are an advocate for yourself. And finally, also something that you cannot control is your race or ethnicity, which leads to an increased risk of gynecological of breast cancer among those of African Americans. Next, please. And so some things, you know, that when we say that things that you can kind of control, it might be hard clearly to do these things, but these are some things that you can do to reduce your risk of breast cancer. Being able to control your weight, being in a healthy weight, that still kind of goes back to, even though sometimes you look at that BMI and you kind of shake your head and you're like, oh my gosh, that is not an accurate reflection of how I feel, but that is how it is deemed on a healthy weight. So knowing your BMI score and trying to control your weight, reducing your alcohol intake. I just looked it up last night that women who have one alcoholic drink a day have a small increase, about a 7 to 10% increase. But women who have 2 to 3 drinks a day have about a 20% higher risk of breast cancer than those that do not consume alcohol. And so that's why you will see this bullet point in a lot of things when you're looking at how to reduce those risks of breast cancer, is reducing alcohol. Being physically active. Women who get regular exercise have a 10 to 20% lower risk of breast cancer than those who are not active. Avoid exposure to known carcinogens, don't smoke, and then again, breastfeed if possible. And then also going into the physically active part too of what I want to say is, clearly people, like, you know, some people might be working from home now, they might be sitting more. When you look at it, what they aim is to have at least 150 minutes of moderate or 75 minutes of vigorous physical activity a week. And also, if you talk to anyone within your health team, what they will say too is strength training is crucial to that as well, and not just being active, but also doing strength training. Next. And so here are some symptoms. What I want to do is literally the last line that is on here. If you have any of these symptoms that worry you, be sure to talk to your doctor right away. But also keep in mind that these symptoms can happen and are just kind of part of life sometimes, and that does not mean that you have cancer. I just want to make sure. But I think it's also just important to kind of talk through these, because people might be wanting to know about these on the call. And since I know this is shared out afterwards, it's just something to really be aware of, and making sure that noticing changes of your breast. So clearly a new lump, a thickening or swelling of any part of the breast, dimpling of the breast skin, redness, flaky around the nipple, the pulling in of the nipple discharge, any change in the size and shape of your breast, and pain that is keeping on reoccurring in your breast as well. And so those are some signs. If we talk about the importance clearly of screening, there's also the importance of you yourself doing just breast exams on you. What I have learned of talking to people is, you know what, like I think a lot of people making sure that it's not just when you're lying down, but when you're standing up. And it's also making sure that you're looking at your breasts too, of just simply of the changes that might occur visually, and just making sure to be aware. And again, if things like this persist for more than 2 to 3 weeks, such as the pain or it's continuing, make sure to contact your doctor. Next. And so kind of what I've just said, this whole presentation is do your monthly self-breast exams, get your yearly mammogram. Early screening saves lives. Understand your breast density. And again, that is something that I know all too well, of making sure that you do the next step, such as maybe an MRI, to make sure that you are getting the best possible imaging. Know your family history and know your normal. So for instance, I now know where there is some density within my breast. And so I know kind of where that might be. I would not have known that if I wasn't doing the monthly self-exams, if I wasn't talking to my doctors. And so your normal is going to be different than other people's normal. But make sure that if something changes within that, to make sure to go in and talk to your worries, and some of your health issues to your physician. Next. And then wanting to make sure that we highlight gynecological cancers as well. When we went through our name change in 2000, just last year, we made sure that the PRG, that the G is now teal color to represent our gynecological cancers. And so when you hear of Pink Ribbon Good, I think anyone in the community will be like, oh, I bet they help breast cancer organizations. Of course. But I want to make sure that people know that we help women too that are going through gynecological cancers. A lot of these cancers too don't have as rigorous screenings clearly as breast cancer. And so it is going back to the other slide of like, know your normal, know how you feel. And if you're having persistent problems, and these are the 5 most common gynecological cancers there. But if we go to the next slide, Kelly, here's some of the symptoms of the gynecological cancers. And again, I think the main thing and like what is so frustrating, clearly as a woman, is that you'll look at this and be like, gosh, I might feel bloated a lot, or if we're just honest, or I might have back pain because I'm carrying my kids around. That's some of the things that is just the frustration of like, some of these are very hard to tell if it is clearly something that is going to be problematic or something that is going to be cancer based, or if it's just a part of, unfortunately, your monthly cycle or things like that. But that is where, if things persist, if you have continued bloating that is not going anything, make sure to go to your gynecologist. Make sure to ask for an internal ultrasound. Make sure to take the next steps, because again, especially with this group, early screening is huge for an early diagnosis and an early stage diagnosis. And one of our colleagues is the same thing. Like, you want to kind of think about like every 2 weeks, if it's persisting, if it's not changing, make sure to call your doctor. And next, I think it's kind of, the next slide is kind of going on the same thing that we've been talking about, is know your personal risk. It's the same thing as gynecological as it is with breast. Make sure if you have a family history of it, make sure to make your doctors are aware of that, to hopefully get some testing and screening done for you, and then know what is normal for your body. Be your best advocate. And that we're just simply now saying, like, kind of going through all of that presentation over the last 40 minutes, we just simply want to say that, like, if you know of anyone going through, Pink Ribbon Good just wants to be there for people. We want to provide as many meals, as many rides to treatment, as many house cleaning essentials, and as many peer support events as we can to continue to build community here within the tri-state, and to continue to burden their treatment and to burden the lesson a little bit while they're going through such a difficult time in their lives. And we just thank you all on this call for learning a little bit more about our organization, for understanding our mission, to see the growth of impact that we're having here, just not locally, but also nationwide. And just thank you to the General Electric Credit Union for being a part of it, and for ensuring our success and our impact here in the tri-state. And we just appreciate you all for joining this call, and we hope that we educated a little bit. And, you know, if there's, I think then we have some time for questions. If it is anything medical based, I'm sure Chastity and I will probably say you probably need to contact your physician, but we would love to answer any questions that you might have about our mission, our personal stories, or anything like that, we just are here to answer any of those for the next part of this call.
All right, thank you, Julie, and thanks, Chastity, for sharing more about your story, and Julie for taking us through the information about Pink Ribbon Good and the support that you all offer to those battling breast and gynecological cancer. As Julie mentioned, for everyone on today's webinar, we'll now open it up for the Q&A portion. If you have a question that you thought of during the webinar, go ahead and submit that using your questions feature. There were a couple pre-submitted as well, so we'll just go ahead and get started. The first question says, how can I get involved with Pink Ribbon Good, and what are ways we can spread awareness outside of the month of October?
Chastity, you want to take that one?
Yes, so there are lots of ways you can get involved with PRG. First, I would say start following us on social media. We have a Cincinnati Pink Ribbon Good page, and we have a national page. We post all of our events on these pages. You can also follow us on our website. We post all of our events for survivors and for people in the community to just come out and participate. We put volunteer opportunities up. I also have lots of volunteer opportunities throughout the year. I send out an email this time of year kind of weekly, other times of the year about once a month. And it'll just tell you everything coming up, different ways you can support us. Right now, specifically, we have Silver Spring House going on, which I know all of you know about, and that's a really great opportunity, but we have other things throughout the year as well.
And I would say in terms of building like the awareness, I think, again, knowing about our organization, knowing, unfortunately, if something personally comes into your life, if you know someone within your work network, your personal network, knowing about organizations like ours, and there are also plenty more, you know, Karen Wellington Foundation, Cancer Family Care, Cancer Support Community. There's a plethora of social service organizations that are really hoping to like help people during it. And so I think it's just building that awareness of just educating yourself of all of the services that are around in the tri-state that, you know, are here for people that are going through a cancer diagnosis.
This next question is asking if you have any advice in talking to a loved one about PRG services if they may be reluctant to signing up.
Yeah, so I think that it's really hard to accept help from people, especially when you're independent and you're just used to doing it, or if you're the one who's always providing the support for other people. It can just be really hard to accept that you need help and that there's a service available that can make your life easier. So we want everyone to sign up for our services, no matter where they're at in life. We just want to be able to lift that burden for them. So I would just encourage them. A lot of times we'll hear, which I was one of these people, oh, I don't need it, save it for somebody else. We don't want you to save it for somebody else. We have partnerships like GE Credit Union that help fund our mission so that we can serve everybody. The meals for my family were great because we didn't always use them for dinner, but we would use them for like lunches on the weekends or for quick meals when my kids were crazy active and we were going, you know, as more of a taxi driver than a mom sometimes it felt like, going from sport to sport. But so we use the meals a little bit differently than what most families do. So the meals can be very helpful if they're like, oh, I can make dinner, but what about lunch? You know, what about the weekends? What about, you know, those other things? What about that day you come home and you're just not feeling good after chemo and you don't want to do anything and it's hard enough to stick something in the microwave or the oven to just warm up. So that's when those meals can really come in handy. The transportation, we're so lucky in Ohio that we have these amazing drivers that drive our patients and our clients to and from treatments. We also utilize Uber Health. So some of our clients like to be able to use Uber Health instead. So we give them vouchers and they can just schedule the rides themselves. If they're not able to schedule the rides themselves, we can still do that for them. And then the house, I mean, who doesn't want free cleaning products and a vacuum cleaner? I feel like sometimes I got a little gypped because we didn't offer that when I was going through it. So I feel like I missed out on the vacuum cleaner because it's pretty amazing. I got to tell you, this vacuum is just phenomenal. So I mean, everybody wants a free vacuum and some cleaning products. So, and then peer support, I mean, you just can't beat that. It's a time that they can talk to somebody else about the things that they just can't talk about with you. So I hope that answers.
Yeah. And I would also say too, if someone hesitant about taking it, I think the first step is if you would go online to pinkribbongood.org, go down to services and then request services. What I always say is our client coordinators are caring, compassionate individuals that they are not going to pressure anyone to take a service if they feel like they really don't need it. But I do think it's like when they actually talk to someone, I think they understand that the level of like, we're just here, we're just caring, and we're just wanting to support you. I also think of once you get onto the radar of Pink Ribbon Good in terms of like a potential client, the meal train might be working and might be going really well, but a cancer journey is long. And so that meal train might run out in a couple of months. And not because it's needing to, but just because life happens for, other people as well. And so, as long as you're on our radar, you might have said no to us, but we're going to keep you on and we're going to say, you know what, we're going to follow up with you in about 2 to 3 months and see where you're at. And if you're needing us then, we would love to support you. So I think the first step is just requesting the services and then allowing Pink Ribbon Goods client coordinators to really talk them through the process. And again, whoever submitted the question, like, we're not pressuring people to take it, but we do think if people fully understand of what we're doing and that the services are free of charge, we do think people would be more understanding and wanting to sign up for those services.
Our next question is asking what type of physical activity is recommended to potentially help reduce risk.
I think if I go back to I think depending on what your comfort level is, I think if, Dr. Kelly McLean, who is on our board, she is very passionate about people being physically active after a cancer diagnosis. She herself is clearly physically active. She's a breast cancer surgeon and she is really passionate. She's like, look, it's what you can do at the time, of like, if you're diagnosed, just getting up and taking a walk, around the neighborhood of when you can, making sure that, you're not doing too much through a cancer diagnosis, but you do need to make sure that you just are physically moving around during it. Now, once it goes into, survivorship and wanting to continue to be physically active, I think that's like also within personally, like if you're coming where you don't do any type of weight training or any type of like rigorous activity of exercises, I think you just need to start of your own comfort level. But if you go back to what they recommend is, 150 minutes weekly of some type of activity that gets your heart rate up. 75 minutes of vigorous activity. So you're doing, a lot more of getting the heart rate up. You're sweating a little bit more, but you're doing it for not as long periods of time during the week. And then the strength training gets built into that as well. And so I think it's just starting out, which is, again, hard for anyone during it, and then just being normally physically active. And it all goes back to the healthy weight too, of like talking with your doctor, where kind of do you need to be at for your healthy weight, and then trying to physically be active to reach that.
And then it looks like this might be our last question. It's asking, how often is it recommended to do a self-breast exam?
So I would say that, like, clearly what, I think we all used to see the nice little things that you would put on your shower head of kind of doing it every single month. I think that's ideal. Now, granted, I think that sometimes, you might not feel as many changes month to month, but I do think it's more of setting that time aside and making it part of your routine. It's also making sure you kind of do it around the same time every single month, because clearly, you know, your breasts change depending on your menstrual cycle or wherever you might be in. So you want to make sure you kind of do your self breast exam monthly and also around the same time each month. Just to make sure that the breasts that you're comparing kind of the same time of the month to where they were previously, so you can maybe detect a change depending if you weren't doing it around the same time. So I would say, you know, especially 40 plus monthly, but at the same time, as we're wanting to highlight, you know, Alexis, you know, was diagnosed at 24, Heather was diagnosed at 31. Chastity, when were you diagnosed?
I was diagnosed at 39.
Yeah. So again, I think it's just being advocate of yourself, of being just aware, you know, of how your own breasts feel. And then again, taking it to someone when you feel something is not right. And again, that could be before 40, clearly, because, you know, what I just say, those three women right there were diagnosed before 40, which if you have no history of breast cancer, if you don't have any of the warning signs that we were kind of talking about, mammograms start at the age of 40 for women.
And it looks like that was our last question, so that's going to conclude our Q&A for today. Thanks again, Julie and Chastity, for being here and taking us through the presentation. But with that, that's going to conclude today's webinar. Thank you all so much for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.